We have a few other pieces of content management topics for today, and those will be widgets, navigation, what we have seen a sneak peek of before, search, and media management. So let's get to it. We have 2 hours left. So let's take a look at how widgets work and what widgets are. Now, by default, an Orchard website created with the default recipe doesn't contain widgets. Well, no, I'm wrong. It doesn't contain many widgets, but it does contain, well, at least one. Widgets are basically, well, boxes that you can put anywhere on the site. It's a bit more complicated than that, but that's the basic idea. So just as we have seen how elements can be placed with layouts, like these 3 elements, widgets are something similar, but layouts are basically built for a single page. So if you create a layout, that will be just one page. With widgets, you can put the same boxes on a variety of pages defined by various rules. So let's take a look at that. I'm going back to the admin, and surprise, surprise, we have a widgets admin screen here. And if you take a look, indeed, there's just one widget, which is a menu widget. Now, let's take a look at let's take a moment to comprehend the widget editor screen. What's in here? Well, first of all, let's start with this right-hand image. You see that this is basically a kind of a map for the Orchard layout. In the middle, we have the content, something, and for example, at the top, we have the header and the navigation, and what they are called is zone. So we have the header and the navigation zone. These zones are areas defined in the theme where you can put widgets. These are more specifically called global zones. There are also local zones, which is something else. We will see them during theme development. So, for example, we can put some widgets into the navigation zone, which, as apparent from this image, will be displayed somewhere at the top. And if we take a look at this list here, which lists all the available zones in the themes, we will also see that in the navigation zone there is one widget, a menu widget. And this menu widget is which actually drives this menu here. So we could also derive from this that this here should be the navigation zone. Furthermore, well, we can also take a look at the Widgets Editor, which is by default for every widget there are some common elements. For example, the zone. Well, we have already seen that, but here you can edit that as well. And then there is a layer and a position. We will see that just in a minute. The title, again, is just the title part. So again, we see some content items in action. Widgets are also content items. If we go back, we also see that here we have some info about layers as well. What are layers? Now, as mentioned, you can put widgets into global zones. So that's how you locate them on the layout. But you should also somehow configure when widgets are displayed. So, for example, if you would put this menu widget in the navigation zone, do we really want it to be displayed on every page, or maybe just selected pages? Or we can say that we want it to be displayed everywhere, but just one page. Or we could also say that, well, we want to display it for all authenticated users, but not for anonymous users. So there are all kinds of logics like this that largely depends on the use case of the specific web app. And these can be actually specified as so-called layer rules. Because layers are containers of widgets. You can put a widget into a zone and into a layer. And you can define a rule for a whole layer. So that rule for the whole layer will specify when all of the widgets in that layer are displayed. For example, there's the default layer here, which is apparently selected now as the current layer, and which apparently also has the menu widget on it. We can edit this layer, and as you can see, a layer can have a name and a description, but that's whatever. But it also can have a layer rule. Now this rule is, well, quite simple. It's actually a logic expression, but this logic expression is just true. So what should this mean? This means that this layer will be always active. It will be displayed on every request. This is probably useful for menus, but not for every widget. So it's good that we have the menu on the default widget, on the default layer, but we surely need some other layers as well. For example, there's also an anonymous layer. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that in the editor. And you see now the layer role is something more complex. It's called not authenticated. This is again a logic expression, but it has actually two parts. There is this authenticated and the not, well, negation. So the authenticated expression will return true or false, depending on the authentication status of the user, and not will negate it. So all of the widgets put into the anonymous layer will be only displayed, well, for not authenticated users. Let's also take a look at that, and let's create a widget. The anonymous layer is now selected, and I will add the widget. Well, let's select the featured zone. This should be just below the menu. And click Add. What we see here is now the list of all the available widgets in the system, or the available widget types. Because as mentioned, widgets are also content types. We have quite many, even though not many features are enabled. We have something for blogs, the blog archives. There is also a layout widget, which is basically the same layout editor as we have seen for pages. There is a menu widget that, well, is related to navigation, and blah blah blah. We will see some of those later. But the most basic one is the HTML widget. The HTML widget is just an HTML container. You put some HTML in it with the well-known Widget Editor, and that will be displayed. And again, take note that the HTML body, HTML content is held by the body part. So again, reusability. Let's name this widget somehow, and this will be my demo widget. We will greatly abuse this, and the body will be I'm the demo widget. Happy to see me. Be creative. You can write anything there. And I will just hit save. Now, once we are redirected to the widget screen, we see that the demo widget, which is an HTML widget, was added to the featured layer, featured zone, and it's on the anonymous layer. So let's go to the front end, and we are here logged in as the admin, so correctly we don't see the widget here. But let's go back to the incognito window, sign out of the test user account, and after sign out we can see the demo widget. So that's good, because indeed it's only displayed for not authenticated users. But there's more. If you go back to the widgets admin area, you can see that there are more layers. Well, there is an authenticated. I spare you the explanation of that. There is also a disabled layer. Well, if you remember what was under the default layer, you will be shocked to see that the disabled layer is just a false as the layer rule. And obviously, the widgets in this layer will never be displayed, since the layer rule will be always false. This is a useful thing to hide widgets temporarily that you don't want to remove yet, just not want to display for now. And one of the other built-in layers is the homepage layer. Let's take a look at that because there is some new stuff. Well, the homepage layer is just for the homepage, so widgets put into this layer will be only displayed on the homepage, not on any other page. And the layer rule contains a new expression, as the URL expression. With the URL expression, you can match on URLs. So you can put specific widgets into layers that are displayed just under specific URLs. This is useful, for example, if you have sections in your site and the sections are categorized by different URLs as well. So for example, you have a blog which is under /blog, and all the blog posts are under /blog, and then blog post 1 /blog, blog post 2. You can create a layer where the widgets will be displayed just on those blog pages. And this works just for / the root. So we have this demo widget. How can we move it to the homepage layer? Well, I selected the homepage layer here, and we can just simply click move to current layer here. Or we could open the widget and change the layer here. Now if I reload the incognito window, we'll see that the widget is still displayed, which is good. But if we go to the blog page, it's not displayed anymore, which is also good because it's supposed to be displayed only on the home page. And one more thing, you can put multiple widgets into a single zone. So I could go there, add another HTML widget, call it like demo widget 2. We don't really need a body here, and save it. And now we have two widgets in the featured zone. And the order displayed here will be the actual order. So if I go to the home page, well, we have the cache working, but I reload it again. We see that the demo widget 2 is on top, because that's what we have here. But with these little arrows here, we can move widgets, move the order, or change the ordering. So if I click move down here, now demo widget is at the bottom. After a refresh, was on the front end. Demo widget 2 is at the bottom. Still some simple stuff. Furthermore, this is quite a recent addition, probably in 1.10, that you can also specify widgets for cultures, but we don't use this feature here yet. You can also add a new layer, by the way, so while you can edit the built-in ones, you can specify any new layers as well.